Let's talk theories about what Smile 3 could potentially look like. And of course, if you've already watched Smile 2, you know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't, this is going to go into some spoilers and all of that. So I highly suggest you watch that video instead of my review and then watch Smile 2. But if you've already watched it, let's get into it. Hit that subscribe button, notification bell. Make sure you follow us on our Instagram. We got a giveaway we're going to be doing on Halloween Day. Don't miss out on that. But let's talk about Smile 3 and the potential that it could definitely be. So Parker Finn has already discussed that he wanted to see where Smile 2 would go before really talking about what exactly Smile 3 would be. Now, Smile 2 has already gone on to be a pretty great franchise as of now, and Paramount has something special here, and in the likes of A Quiet Place and Scream being these big heavy hitters for horror for Paramount, I think A Quiet Place is definitely one that we've seen recently can even branch off into a spin-off that doesn't take place with the main family we know of. I think that Smile is definitely another one because it made a pretty big dent at the box office in its first weekend. We'll see how it does in the second weekend, because then they have the Juggernaut Venom coming out this weekend. But Parker Finn did talk to Discussing Film about the possibilities of where Smile could go, and he said, I think there are a lot of interesting directions and roads that Smile could go down. For me, of course, the through line is the Smile entity itself, this extraordinary supernatural concept that flows through both films. But what I also love is the really intense, harrowing character stories that it allows. I think there could be any number of intriguing directions to take it. Right now, I'm really excited to release Smile 2, and I hope that audiences will engage and connect with it. We'll just have to see and wait what the future holds. Now, of course, we do have to wait and see what Parker Finn says, but I myself want to talk about where the possibilities could go for this entity and for the franchise in itself. So quick little recap for Smile 2, if you will. Bear with me and then we'll get to the theories. Pretty much what we saw at the end of the first Smile is that the entity passed on to Gallner's character of Joel, and Joel was trying to pass the entity on to some victims that were not too, I would say, innocent, as they were these very evil criminals, right? So the thing about this is that the Smile entity can only feed on trauma and all of this. So once you pass it on to someone, I think depending on their trauma, you can see how strong it will get, right? Joel was going to just pass it on and hopefully end the Smile curse. And the thing that happened was that he wasn't able to pass it on to this criminal. So his plan was to kill another criminal in front of this criminal. And then thus he was going to be able to pass the entity into that criminal, which was a piece of shit, right? However, the criminal ended up getting into a shootout with Joel, and Joel killed them. So the curse wasn't passed on. The thing was that Lewis was there watching this unbeknownst to Joel, so it passed on to Lewis, and then eventually Lewis passed it on to Skye Riley, who was the pop star. We saw that Skye Riley then killed herself in front of the whole crowd at her concert, thus meaning that she has passed on the curse now to these thousands of fans that were watching her at her concert. And Parker Finn actually talked to the Hollywood Reporter about this and says, I love this idea that potential future iterations of Smile could go bigger and more off the rails and even crazier and more unhinged. But just how crazy can things get, right? So I think, in my opinion, we're talking post-apocalyptic scenarios here, and it's getting kind of dangerously close to almost coming off like Bird Box, where you have to wear a blindfold in order not to get the entity on you, which is kind of interesting if you think about it, that what if they say Bird Box was actually the sequel to all the Smile films? This was just the prequels we were doing. Of course, that's not what they're doing, but I think it'd just be funny to think about that for a second if it is that way. And so now we are in a moment where we have to see where the Smile franchise wants to go, what it wants to do, and how it goes forward. So I honestly think that in the next Smile we could potentially see a post-apocalyptic type scenario where everything is maybe just happening in the city, and in the city we see people just offing themselves and just continuing on with the entity's curse, as there's a group of survivors or something. I think it'd be interesting to have a group of people, not just one or two, that know about the entity at the same time, and they're trying to get away from it or try to defeat it together. And it's getting into a predicament too where I think that the entity feels like it's indestructible, and as an audience we're just okay, they're all gonna die at the end, right? There's no way they can defeat it. So I think in the next Smile we have to get a little bit more ground rules as to what exactly can defeat the Smile entity. Now, I'm somebody who says a movie can do whatever it wants. It doesn't have to explain itself to you or be a thing that you have to beat, right? right? But I think in order for a Smile 3 to like happen, most people do want that sense of there's a way to defeat this, but tell us how, and let's see if the characters can figure it out and they can manage to do so, right? I think that sets up more high tensions than just a movie where we just see people die. But you know, it's been the thing before, like Final Destination is a movie where we just see people die and that's all that happens in that movie. So I don't think it's a bad thing either, but I wonder how they want to balance it, because a big criticism I've seen for Smile 2 is that they say the movie cheats. It just does what it needs to do in order to move the plot forward and doesn't really rely on rules or any of that. Now, like I said, I don't care. I think a movie does whatever it needs to do, and I'm there. Like, I really just like unplug myself and I'm watching what I'm watching, and what I'm watching is this, and they're telling me it's this, it's this. If they say this elephant is purple, it is purple, and that's how I take it, right? So I don't know, whatever they want to do. I'm curious, because I think that there is a balance though that needs to happen where they kind of set a parameter for this entity, like, yes, it can actually die, and these are the stakes it takes for it to die. So we'll see. But I think that we definitely go into post-apocalyptic sort of like realm where we see a bunch of people trying to survive the entity. Maybe we get a little bit more information about this entity, where it came from, how long it's been here, and what exactly can we do to survive it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the next one. And I'm curious if Parker Finn does come back to direct it. I feel like he should definitely do so and end the franchise with the third one and just go out on a high. And then maybe the years down the road, they want to explore it a bit more. I would be open to that, but let me know what you think about Smile 3 and the possibilities. I'm thinking post-apocalyptic. I'm thinking we learn where the entity came from and there is a way to destroy it, or maybe there isn't. But let me know what you think, what you would want to see from a Smile movie, and if you are excited for yet the possibilities of this story continuing. Comment down below. Make sure you follow us on our social medias. Our Instagram, we are running a giveaway that we will be announcing on Halloween Day, so don't miss out on that. And as always, I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive, y'all.